If you have a cell phone or a pager, please turn it off or set it to stun so that it doesn't ring. Baruch Dayan Ha'emet, we praise the Judge of Truth. Begin with Psalm 121. Esai Enai El Haharim Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. Ezri Me'im Adonai Oseh Shamayim Va'aretz. Al Yitain Lamot Raglecha, Al Yanum Shomrecha. Hine Lo Yanum V'lo Yishan Shomer Yisrael. Adonai Shomrecha, Adonai Tzorcha Al Yad Yaminecha. Yomam Hashemesh Lo Yekeka V'yarech Balayla. Adonai Yishmarcha Mikol Ra Yishmor Et Nafshecha. Adonai Yishmar Tzedcha V'oecha Me'ata V'ad Olam. I lift my eyes to the mountains, from whence cometh my help. My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. The Lord will not let your foot give way, your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian, he is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. He will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever. Death has taken your beloved, our beloved, Natan Shilman. Friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence there is lamentation. In their tears there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, and be with them. For Natan's love that united so many people in life, and which death cannot sever. For his companionship that was shared during life's path, and which continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of his heart and mind that brought us joy and happiness, and is now a precious remembrance. For all of these and more, we give our thanks to God. It is a time of grief, it is a time of sadness and tragedy. And so we listen to the voice of our sacred scriptures once again from Sefer Tehillim, from the book of Psalms. It tells us of our kinship with God, in light as in darkness, in joy as in sorrow, in life as in death. Together let us recite in the English the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. It's a privilege to call forward Natan's son Dima to speak words of tribute for his father.
My father was an extraordinary man. Thank you. He was incredibly hardworking. My father worked insanely long hours to support his family. When I was younger, he would go to work before I woke up and return late every evening wearing his white painter's pants and a t-shirt from Sherwin-Williams, covered in paint flakes and drywall dust. He worked every day, every weekend, and always had endless projects to work on at home. There was never a project too big, and although he was self-taught in everything he did, he somehow had the ability to fix absolutely anything. He worked on giant commercial construction projects that involved building massive structures from the ground up. He built my parents' home from the foundation up. And after becoming bored with construction, he began working on cars, taking them apart down to the frame and reassembling them just because he could. I used to tell him he was like the Russian version of MacGyver. Give him some duct tape, a couple bolts, some screws, a shoelace, and about 30 minutes later, he'd build you a hovercraft. The man was simply that brilliant. However, a man like my father should not be remembered for his work ethic alone. He was a very gentle, kind, and compassionate man. He never met a person he didn't want to help, and he rarely held a grudge. He cared nothing about your race, religion, or age. If you wanted to be his friend, he would accept you with open arms. If you were willing to learn, he would take the time to teach you. If you needed a loan, he would help you out even when you couldn't afford to. If you needed a job, he would hire you regardless of your skills or qualifications. Many in this room got their first job from my dad. He helped many start their own business, including myself. His compassion, however, didn't end with people. He was the first person to teach me how to care for and love animals. He loved all our family pets. He loved our dog Vergic so much that he refused to leave him in Odessa when we migrated. He somehow gathered the money to get a ticket and bring him with us to America. My father never met a dog he didn't want to pet or a stray cat he didn't want to feed. And before every vacation, he reminded someone that it was very important to feed his fish. If you're here today, and I thank you for that, it means my father touched your life in some way or another. His friends will miss him above all else for his contagious laugh and sense of humor. My father was a hilarious man. He was the funniest person I knew. He simply had no filter. If he thought it was funny in his head, he'd say it out loud, and if he unintentionally hurt your feelings, he'd have you laughing again in a matter of moments. For me, at times, it was difficult to carry on a serious conversation with my father, because he could turn anything into a joke. If I wasn't laughing, he'd tickle me. Even as a grown man, he would tickle me. Until we were both hysterically laughing. He was the only adult that I knew with whom my mom would have to sit down and say, "Natanchik, please, don't say anything inappropriate. We're just meeting these people." And my dad would smile and shake his head, say, "Okay, but there's no way to contain that man's hilarity." For me and Vlada, he was a great role model. The kind of parent that supported you in whatever decisions you made, even if you didn't agree with them. He knew that to raise strong children, you had to let them make mistakes. He was not afraid of letting us fall down and bruise a knee, but he was right there afterwards with a Band-Aid saying, "So, what'd you learn?" I know this firsthand because my dad's unique way of teaching me to ride a bicycle was to let me pedal head-on straight into the bushes. And after digging me out, he said, "Dimichka, you got to pedal faster." And I did, and from that day on, you couldn't get me off a bicycle, although now I have a very strong dislike of bushes. Above all, my father taught me probably the most important lesson in life, the meaning of love. He loved all of you. He loved me and Vlada very, very much. But it was in the way that he loved and was committed to my mother that taught me the most. And it wasn't just marital commitment. He was committed to keeping her happy, to keeping her safe. If it was important to my mom, it was especially important to him. Even in his last days, fully aware of his impending mortality, his only concerns were my mother's well-being. We will all miss my father. His friends will miss him for his humor and dedication. His grandkids will miss Kuzya, as they called him, with his big hugs and acrobatic twirling. My mom will undoubtedly miss her best friend of nearly 40 years. But for me and Vlada, we'll miss our oldest friend, the man who instilled in us the core values and convictions that define our characters to this very day. Our source of strength at times of need. And the amazing man we're blessed to call Papa.
Although Natan was not a religious man, these are words like a prayer. So together let us say Amen. When people say they're not religious, that just means they define religion a little differently. The things that he did as a routine, it's like religious obligation to take care of people, to take care of the animals, to love your wife, to do those things. It's religious. We gather today to mourn and to celebrate, to weep and to laugh, to shrug our shoulders, nod our heads. Natan Shilman did not want to make a big deal made at his funeral, so we're not going to make a big deal. However, we're going to pay respect to his memory. We're just going to say it's not a big deal. His Hebrew name was Natan ben Chaim v'Chava. Natan means gift. And in many ways, he was a gift to his family, to his friends, to his co-workers. He had quite a personality. He had a big heart. He was a very humorous man. And as you heard Dima say, he had no filter. He was a gift. And there are many people who consider themselves fortunate to have shared the gift that was Natan Shilman. In life, time is among the most important of God's gifts. It's a gift which is placed into our hands to do with as we please. Some are given a large amount of time, others a smaller amount. We can spend it wisely and fully, or we can fritter it away and waste it. Natan spent his time well. He worked hard. He loved his wife, his family, his grandchildren, his friends. We only wish we had been given more time to spend with him. There's a poignant passage in Chaim Potak's book, The Chosen, which speaks to this. The book was published in 1967 when Natan was 10 years old. Chaim Potak sets the characters of the book in the 1940s, just after the Holocaust. The main character, David Malter, is a Jewish scholar, and he has failing health. But yet he rushes from meeting to meeting to meeting to give speeches to win the people to the Zionist cause in an effort to rescue the Jews remaining after the Nazi death camps. He has a son. David has a son. His name is Reuven. And Reuven is frightened that his father is endangering his life. And he protests to his father to slow down. And David Malter says the following to his son Reuven. He says, "Reuven, I learned a long time ago, the blink of an eye is nothing. But the eye that blinks, that is something. A span of life is nothing. But the person that lives that span, he is something. He can fill that tiny span with meaning so that its quality is immeasurable, though its quantity is maybe insignificant. Do you understand what I am saying? Reuven, a person must fill his life with meaning. Meaning is not automatically given to life. It is hard work to fill one's life with meaning. A life filled with meaning is worthy of rest. I want to be worthy of rest when I am no longer here." And as we think of our dear Natan, he filled his time with work and family and friends and meaning. He did not waste his years. He spent them generously, and he spent them well. Natan was born in Odessa, January 23rd, 1957. His parents of blessed memory, Chaim and Eva. Chaim died many years ago and is buried in Odessa. Eva is buried here at Mount Olive, near the site of Natan's grave, where we will go soon. As you know, their life was hard. Natan was the youngest of 4 children, all now of blessed memory: Shura, Joseph, Manya, and Natan. The 3rd child, Manya, she died in 1942 in Uzbekistan as a baby from starvation. In September 1941, the Nazis were advancing on Odessa, and many Jews escaped to Uzbekistan by train. They got off the train and there was almost nothing to eat. The family lived with constant hunger. Eva could not nurse the baby, and Manya died. The Great War, World War II, ended in 1945, and the Jews made their way back to Odessa. These are things we don't consider very much as Jews living in the United States of America. After the war, people hoped for the future and began to rebuild their lives. And now comes Natan. He was born in 1957. Natan and Natalie were married February 23rd, 1979. I only wondered if you were born on February 23rd because he was born on January 23rd, the same day of the month, easier for him to remember. Was that why? Oh, it was. Yeah, as one guy to another. Yeah, this is how we think. So you were married February 23rd, 1979, and shared a loving marriage of almost 40 years. They lived for one another. They took care of one another and made a life together. A friend, one of many friends, but a friend, Claudia Madden. Claudia said their marriage was like all of our marriages should have been. They loved each other so much and took care of each other. In 1992, Natan and Natalie came with a family to the USA, the United States of America, with Natan's mother and Natalie's parents. Natan's brother, Joseph, Oliver Sholem, now of blessed memory, was their sponsor, and the Cleveland Jewish Family Service set them up in an apartment, probably not very far up the street from here. Natalie's brother, Misha, is also deeply mourning Natan's passing. Natalie remembered of her dear husband. He was the best man, the best husband. I could tell him anything. He's a best friend. He was caring and loving. He said, "I live for you guys." When we lived in Odessa, it was hard to find work. He did whatever he could in construction. One day he came back from the port with a huge Japanese pear. Well, not that big. Japanese pear, this big. They're enormous and yellow and delicious. His smile was from ear to ear. He brought it for the kids. He loved to bring the children cookies and candy. It made him so happy to be able to provide for us. Natan could fix anything. He was very creative. He worked hard, and when we came here, he was so happy to be here. The kids vividly remembered the day he came home with a motorcycle. And he used to love golf, and he was self-taught, and he was actually pretty good. A good friend and golf partner, Anthony Madden, wrote a letter to Natan. Let me share what he wrote. I love you. You have been a friend and a brother to me half of my life. I've never known anyone like you, and it has influenced me in so many ways. You never gave up on people or said no when someone you knew was in need, even if you weren't close to them at the time. Your sacrifice of time with your family so you could tirelessly work to achieve your American dream. We have been through so much in 24 years. Whatever higher power controls the universe brought us together for a reason. The stars aligned and made us soulmates. Our families combined, and I cannot think of a life event ever since then that you weren't a part of. I love you, and Trying to imagine a life without you just breaks my heart. I'm so blessed for every moment we had together and so sorry for the ones we missed, because I honestly never thought I'd have to say goodbye. There was supposed to be more time. When you are ready to go, know in the depths of your soul that you raised a son that has a heart of gold like you, and who will take care of those he loves as you never stopped doing. And a fierce, strong daughter that loves and will provide for and protect your family just like you never stopped doing. Because of your legacy, Natalie will never be without. I don't ever want to say goodbye. I just want to keep telling you I love you. Thank you for being my role model. Thank you for being my brother. And early Sunday morning, Natan breathed his last. And now there's no more deterioration or pain. There's just rest and wholeness and peace. And his soul is returning to God to be with the souls of his dear family, friends, and the ancestors of our people. We learn this in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7. The dust returns to the earth as it was. The spirit returns to God who gave it. We are sending along a couple of old prayer books with him in the casket. It is a mitzvah to escort your loved one's body to its final resting place. It's a religious obligation. And it's a mitzvah to provide a respectful burial for holy books of our tradition. As Jews, we're called the people of the book, and thus it is good to send along some Jewishly significant books with Natan. You have many, many memories. Your memories are filled to overflowing with thoughts of Natan. And we give thanks to God for this gift of life. He was only 61, and we would have hoped for many more years. However, those many more years only if in decent health. And the cancer took him as much as he fought. And as you think of Natan, take care of one another. Be humorous. Fix some things. That means fix things physically. That means this is a time now to think about fixing relationships too. It's a good time to think of those things and to do them. Play a little golf. Tell a story. Be more eager to help and serve other people. And do these things in his loving memory. And so we say, with tears in our eyes, words from the first chapter of the book of Job. Adonai Natan, v'Adonai lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai mevarach. The Lord hath given, the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And let us say, Amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. May God, who causes peace to reign in the high heavens, cause peace to rain down upon us, upon all Israel, and upon the soul of our dearly departed Natan Shilman. And let us say, Amen. Please rise for El Malei Rachamim. Into your care, O God, we entrust the spirit of Natan Shilman, Natan ben Chaim v'Chava. For you keep faith with your children in death as in life. Sustain us that we may meet with serenity the mysteries that lie ahead, knowing that when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you, O God, are with us, a loving friend in whom we put our trust. You are the light of our life, our hope in eternity. El male rachamim, shochen bamromim, hametzeh menucha nechona, tachat kanfei hashchina, im kedoshim u'tohorim, kezohar harakia mazirim, et nishmat Natan ben Chaim v'Chava, shehalach le'olamo, Baal harachamim, yastirehu b'seter kenafav le'olamim, vayitzror b'tzor ha'chaim, et nishmato, Adonai hu nachalato, v'yanuach b'shalom al mishkavo, v'nomar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to our dear Natan Shilman. He has gone and entered eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated for a moment. In a moment, we will go in procession to Mount Olive Cemetery.